It really was for a while there, and now it's not. Now it's actually pretty good. Uh, yeah, that's just it. Is I have been playing it, and it's definitely it's definitely a lot better. I am trying to get I'm trying to get yeah I'm trying to get the Streamlabs companion stuff up on my phone because it's been a billion to years since I've done that, and I think that's the way I used to follow the chat. So trying to make that happen. Yep. You are just joining us. Please stand by while I figure a few things out. I am not ignoring you, I promise. I'm just really rusty at this because it has been months. Right? Yeah, I can't say I blame the dog at all. Uh, Dad, why not? Why can't you control the weather? All right, where do I find Dad? Here we go. Remote control. It helps if I uncover the camera. Not used to. Oh, it's also a new phone, and I've got this great big honking. There we go. Great big honking camera head on the back. Um, and yeah, it's all crazy times, and I've got a big cover on it. And okay, this app is not how I. This app will control it, but it does not show me the. Oh, there we go. That. Looks like I can only look at one at a time, though, which is not as useful as it could be. Yeah. Right? Right? Yeah, no, it's not yeah, honestly, the main reason why we don't need to run ours like ridiculously low is that Pixel's a freeze baby, and I spend a lot of my time down in the basement where it's always cool. So it's just not as big a deal for us. But no, I get it completely. Yeah. Yep. Right. 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 Yeah, it's just it's not that easy. I get it. Um, I used to watch all the chat. No, no, no. It's fine. I'm just trying to figure out how I used to watch all the chat while the game was live, and I honestly don't remember. I don't think I just watched the stream, but maybe I did. Because the stream should have the multi chat on it. Once I start it. Which one are you looking? Which one are you watching? Which stream are you watching? Twitch or? Oh, you're not watching the stream itself yet. Yeah, I should be. You should see me streaming on either Twitch or YouTube. I'm on both. Yeah, Facebook for some reason it's not syncing up on. Oh yeah, no, I don't have it streaming to Discord right now. I remember I discovered the hard way that it doesn't work to do Discord and the others at all. Um, Like Streamlabs won't stream to Discord unless I'm paying somebody an arm, a leg, and a kidney. And I don't want to pay an arm, a leg, and a kidney, so I haven't. Right. Meanwhile, I did just look. I do have the stream running right now on YouTube side because I've got the Twitch chat definitely up here. Maybe Streamlabs actually overlays the chat when I'm in the game. I don't remember now. It's just been so long. If it overlays it on my screen, maybe it does. In which case, that's probably how I used to watch it, or at least part of it. Man, I hate not remembering shit. I'm supposed to be a tech guy. I'm supposed to know shit, and I'm like, nope, 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 no. Uncle Mikey 42 on Twitch, I think. Be interested if it turns out I'm not something. There'll be a lag, of course.
Times the early stages of it? I think so. Let's rate out. I think so. Let's rate out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's only so many audio. Yeah. There's only so much audio you need up at a time. There's only so many audio. Yeah. There's only so much audio you need up at a time. Yep. That is what it's supposed to be. So yay, we are where we are supposed to be. That much is definitely working. And now let me see if my fancy phone will let me dual screen the. No, that's not the one I want. So I've got this fancy schmancy phone now. I've got the Fold, the OnePlus Open. So I've got this big square screen I can use with it unfolded, and I am trying to figure out if I can split screen watching the YouTube, which will give me that chat, while also bringing up the Streamlabs controller. That's not even where I wanted it, but that's okay. If I can split screen basically to do both, and that would be kind of cool. I'm not sure if I can do. Yeah, it's tricky, and I don't really I don't have two monitors. I think at least once, probably a couple times, I did this with my iPad as the other screen, basically. There we go. Okay, so now I've got YouTube on one screen, and in theory it should show me at least some of the chat there. And I've got the controller so I can push buttons like that. Hey, that worked. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yep. Right. Yep. What I have upstairs for work is I have a wide, an ultra wide curved screen. And then since I also use a laptop, I have that screen open. And so that gives me two. And if I really need it, I do have a third screen up on a monitor arm, but lately I haven't been using it. I just don't need that many screens, honestly, most of the time. And it becomes a distraction. Every now and then I need that third screen to watch something like one of my other bits of hardware. But most of the time I just don't need it. So anyway, go ahead. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Uh, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. All right. So it looks like I've got two viewers. It looks like I've got you and JC, and one other viewer. For those of you who are wondering who the other voice is, it's my friend JC, and he's joining me via Discord. For all one other person currently watching, and anyone who watches the recording later. I'm Uncle Mikey. I'm here to play City Skylines 2. And I'm just going to get into it. This let me give you a little backstory, because this is not a new city. I've already started this city. I'm using a custom map called Victoria, BC. It is an actual map someone created. That is a map of Victoria, British Columbia. I don't know how accurate it really is, but it started with about 2/3 of the layout you see here. So it basically had a starter layout and a whole bunch of tiles already unlocked. Just no zoning yet. That was still up to you, and no utilities yet. But it had the basic zoning that I think was meant to mimic how the town started. So I decided to give that map a try after seeing it on, I want to say, City Planner Plays. Who Phil is still, the person who I find out a lot of what's going on in the City Skylines universe. Now, as to why I haven't been playing, it's just that the game was a real mess for the last 9 months. It was everything you don't want in a release. It was The Witcher, not the, it was Cyberpunk 2077 all over again. It was a premature release that really just should not have come out when it did at all. It was a mistake. It was several mistakes all at once. There's no getting around it. There's no glossing it over. There's no making it happy sounding. They screwed up. They screwed up badly. And they've taken a long time fixing it, and the amount of time it's taken them to fix it sort of tells you how screwed up it got. How screwed up it was. But they recently released two key patches. One was a big one was a small one. The big patch was called Economy 2.0, and it basically took all the random ideas they threw at the wall for the economy and made them work. Which is a lot of what was broken in the game as released, was that they had a whole bunch of complicated economic ideas, and none of them actually seemed to do anything. None of them seemed to matter. And to top it all off, land value was badly broken, so that you wound up after a short time with a whole bunch of people whining about the rent being too high for no good reason. Basically, the land value calculations were just much too sensitive. And the idea, I think, was to drive you toward density, but the thinking process behind that doesn't seem to have been how a lot of us actually play the game for comparative realism. A city this large, which is not very large at all, shouldn't have that much density. I do have some, because the game kind of drives you to it. It's mainly for low income housing, low rent housing, because there's no way to do that small. Like, there's no garden apartments yet. It's only towers. You can control a little bit by making the square, the acreage for it, small. So, like, if I'd made this only 2x2, it would have been a smaller tower. But for the most part, I am sticking with row housing and low density housing, and just a little bit of medium density housing, and some mixed use housing now that I have it available. Let's see if I can show off some examples. So this is Yeah, go ahead. Because it's a custom map. Let me show you the. That's the region as created by the custom map maker. He actually made the grid itself. That's right. He actually made the tiles not square, which is apparently something you can do in the map editor without any other mods. It is, isn't it? And they haven't done it for any of the standard maps yet. It's only right. It's something only custom map makers seem to be doing as yet. Um, but I think we'll start seeing more of it. This is actually the first custom map I've really used in the game. Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. It actually makes much more sense. Like the gridded system is nice, especially because of the way. Like I actually prefer the new tile system to the old tile system, which the tiles were very big, and maybe you only really needed a little bit because you needed a bridge between two places. You couldn't do it. You had to buy the whole big tile, and maybe you had a lot of space you didn't need. Now you can buy a smaller tile, but if you really want more space, you got to buy more than one tile. And one of the controversial choices they made as part of Economy 2.0 was to make the economy harder. And one of the ways they did that was to make the tiles actually have a cost, so an upkeep cost associated with them. You can turn that off in a couple of different ways, but the default now is that as you buy tiles, those tiles have an upkeep cost that drains from your economy. And again, I think it's all about trying to drive you toward, first of all, thoughtful development, but also toward density, towards not just sprawling all over the map because you've got enough permits to buy the tiles. We've got 36 permits. We could pretty much buy up the whole region right now if we had the money. But then we'd have the upkeep. Although I don't know, we may still have few enough tiles that there isn't a tile up. There we go. I added enough tiles now because the first, like, I don't know, 9 tiles, like your initial, because the regular maps unlock 9 tiles by default. Your first 9 tiles don't have an upkeep associated with them. In this case, the default unlock was smaller than that because the tiles are larger. And I've unlocked like 2 of them. Yeah. I With that capability, yes, I think we will. I think we will see it. I think as time goes on, like I haven't looked to see if anyone's already done it, but I think as time goes on, we will see modded versions of the default maps that change those tile borders as people see more and more maps like this and have the same thought of, hey, wait, if you look at almost any state of the union except, say, Iowa, which, no, seriously, Iowa's not as flat as people think it is. But Iowa, if you look at the map of both its state highways and its county lines, is like militantly a grid. On the macro level, it is a militantly gridded state. It's the only state I know that is quite that heavily gridded for so much of its stuff. Like, I don't think city borders are that tightly rectangular, but a lot of the state is very tightly rectangular. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, real cities do that. And, you see some of that here where I've built this little grid over here. This was not part of the original map. This section over here where you've got a whole bunch of small, where the grid is 112 by 112 squares was not the original map. That's a section I added. And I added it to conform to parallel the Trans-Canada Highway here and sort of fit the coastline a little bit in terms of its facing, rather than just continue this grid. And I realized my video is going to have a lag. The video you're watching is going to have a lag. But the grid that came with it I didn't just extend that to the west relative to my current orientation. I deliberately tilted the grid. And that's how real cities work, right? Real cities have reasons why they build grids differently. Different developers have different plans and they do different things. So I am really hoping that we see more custom maps. Like, I haven't actually gone into the map editor. I don't know how hard it is to actually do this, or if it's really easy and they just didn't for the default maps for some reason. By the way, how's the video? Yeah. How is the video, by the way? I have it, my usual settings on it. I remember it is dark. All right. Some of that is that it is currently nighttime in the city, but I remember in the old game I had to turn off HDR in order for the streaming to work well. Let me see if I have to do that here. If I can do that in the game. Blah, 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 blah. Or if I have to do it, I may have to do it on my system. I don't remember what I did before. See, again, it's just been too damn long. I don't see anything about HDR here. On show advanced. Yes, you can, can't you? Let me, you know what? Let me do that for now. See if that makes a difference. Whoa, big bright flash. Let's see. We'll wait for the stream to catch up and you can tell me if that made the difference. Okay, good. Is it all? Yeah. Let me see what I can do with that. I'm no longer really seeing the stream on YouTube. Over here. So the circle, yeah, the circle is it is a rock quarry. Oh no, it's a coal quarry. This is a coal quarry. Because I have a coal power plant and there was coal already on the map. So I'm like, good, I'm not going to import coal anymore. And that's one of the big things that changed. They made the economy harder, but now it really makes a difference if you are, for example, if you are using a coal power plant, you really want to be mining your own coal and have a surplus if you can get it, because then you're paying less for the import, and that's important. So basically, going through over time and figuring out where the deficits are and actually building the specialized industries for the deficits makes a lot of sense now and actually makes a real difference to the economy. So right now I'm actually making a fair amount of money. I'm making about $18,000 an hour. One thing that's still annoying is that if you look at this, it's by the hour, but everything else is by the month. Right? Everything in there probably is, but I haven't really found it yet. But like so much else, like all of this is by the month, and you know your budget is showing the monthly revenues and so on, monthly balance. And I'd really like them to harmonize that or show both. Like, I don't mind if they show per hour, but show me per month too, because that's what the budget's based on. But yeah, the game used to be almost too easy. It gave you too much money up front and a huge chunk of money every time you progressed. And it was impossible to go bankrupt and easy to just spam everything. And they really were treating it like a casual city painter and forgetting how many people actually care about this shit. And they admitted that. They pretty much outright admitted that when they were talking to people like Phil, the City Planner Plays, about it. And just, they were like, okay, yeah, we didn't really think all of that through. That's on us. Our bad. And we'll fix it. You know, we still want this to be approachable for people, but we'll fix it. And they are. They're actually fixing it. Oh, I forgot to mention the smaller patch that came out, that is a huge quality of life thing, is what they call the Detailers patch. And basically it added a bunch of smaller parks and new parks to the game, which was nice. It added, let's Let's see if I have it unlocked. I don't think I have. Maybe it's over here. It added more control over things like trees. So, like, you can now place a variety of different trees, I think. Yeah, here we go. Because this was a bush, it didn't show. But if I go over here to tree, let's see, let's find another one. Apple tree, there we go. You see that it's got a variety of ages. One of the complaints in the base game, is that you could only plant baby trees and they took a long time to grow. Now, you can plant a whole variety of trees. I'm going to do it. This is actually the first time I'm playing with it. And spam them, as I'm doing here. And you wind up with something that actually looks a little more natural and actually looks a little more, okay, yes, there's been birth and death and renewal, and maybe some things got chopped down, but more things were planted over time. And like it just looks a lot more. It looks a lot more. It looks a lot better. The one thing you still can't do in the default, and I think there's a mod for it, but I haven't bothered yet, is select more than one kind of tree at the same time. Although I don't know, maybe some of these brushes will do it. I'm not sure. But select more than one kind of tree as well as more than one age and really get a sense of variety. Whereas, I just planted a lot of apple trees around my city. There are all kinds of different ages of apple tree, but they're only apple trees. That's right. And there's one other thing they did in the Detailers patch that City Skylines 1 never had, even with mods. And it's this. I can take, let's find an appropriate one. I can take, I'll find a good one. Let's do it here just to get it started. Just like for industries and the garbage and all that, you draw zones. I can now take any surface that's been painted as part of a lot, an existing lot, and I can drag it out. And so, like, if this were bounded by roads, but there was a gap, I could fill the gap by extending this out and making it look like it was all part of the same thing, the same landscaping. That is something no one even modded into Cities Skylines 1 that I can recall, that they have now added to the base game. And that shows they really were listening, that detailers want options. Here's an example. So this is the small high school. They added smaller high schools and smaller elementary schools, and I am badly oversubscribed. I really need enough money to plant myself a good-sized high school. And they've also added the ability that upgrade buildings no longer have to attach directly to the main building. So I've got the upgrade over here, but I've extended out the the surface, so that it looks like they have a common boundary and a common lawn. That's right. And it looks like a campus. It doesn't look like two separate buildings. It's still... And I was going to say, I actually tried that, and it's still a little finicky about the paths. Like, I want to do a path from here to here, and it considers those to be overlaps. I could probably do it with Anarchy. Let's see if I can do it with Anarchy, actually. Yeah. Okay, that's the answer, is turn Anarchy on, because it's one of the few mods I've got in here right now is Anarchy, because as we've discovered over the years, there are just certain things the game doesn't let you do that don't make sense, and that's still true. But yeah, now we've got a path between them. I'm going to turn Anarchy back off because I don't like overusing it. And more to the point, I don't like having it on when I'm not expecting it, and having something that I was not expecting to work. Right. So I don't like having it on when I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, so now I could draw And now I've got that path. I could probably draw one coming off of it. I guess I do still need Mikey to do it. But I can draw that. And it does some weird things to make that work. But it did work. I wonder if I can now fix this. No, that it's interesting. The inner surface, that's weird. That extended itself and does not give me an out. All right, I'm going to call that a bug with Anarchy actually, and not with the game. The game doesn't really have any reason to expect it should know what to do with that. At any rate, it's a cool capability that allows that further developed, that capability is going to allow for a lot more interesting detailing. I'm going to add some trees. Make them, actually, let's go with wildflower. Be a smaller brush, though. Oh, now we've got... Yeah, and yeah, this is what people, especially the people who actually like the detailing, they were really hoping for this in the game. Like I'm kind of a, it's not that I'm not a detailer at all, but I detail the way I just showed you, right? I very rarely use a line tool, even if it's available. I just kind of spray trees around. Like every now and then I will use a line tool if it's available, either as a mod or in the game, because I'm like, I really want to hedge there. But by and large, I'm happy to just spray trees around to make things look prettier, and let God sort it out. And but it wasn't even that, like you could do some of it, but you couldn't do mixed ages. So you were, and in fact, you couldn't do other ages at all. You were stuck basically only spraying saplings and waiting for them to grow. Mm-hmm. Yep. Uh-huh. Right. Sure. If you really are building something like that, yeah. Right. Yeah. If you really are trying to, if you're building something new like that, or for that matter, almost any new development built since the 70s, they just tore out all the trees and replanted them, and they still do that all the time. You can tell a new development not so much from the design of the houses, but from the fact that there's zero mature trees anywhere to be found. Right. It's one of the reasons I actually wanted an older suburb. We went into Richfield, not because it was particularly exciting, but because it was relatively close to Minneapolis, and we had trees. And we still have a couple of survivors, although some of the trees got old enough we had to take them. But we still have one really big shade tree in the backyard that I'd be really sad to lose. Even though, the storms we had yesterday could have knocked it down and destroyed my house. I'd still be really sad to lose that tree. Yeah. Well, right. But still. So here's another example of having extended out some surface detail. The cemetery, when I planted it, I planted it and then I extended the grid around it, and of course the grid did not fit the cemetery. The cemetery is big, but it didn't really fit the grid, and I deliberately put the grid so that this entrance, I know that the stream is lagging, you'll see it in a minute, but so that the entrance lined up with the street, lined up with View Street, rather than putting it up against one of the side roads. And then I remembered, oh, hey, I can extend the lawns now so that it all matches. And it's really nice. It's just really nice. So I have... That's right. There's no way to actually stretch the graveyard. And I don't remember... The cemetery's got some upgrades available, but they don't really extend the cemetery itself. They add things like the mausoleum or a columbarium or the temple, all of which are interesting. And now they don't have to go right up against, right? Because the big problem with needing to put extensions right up against the original lot is that you had to create huge parcels between the roads for something like the cemetery asset, which is already tremendous. Now I can make a campus of it. I could put the temple over here and the columbarium over here and the mausoleum over here, and maybe add some paths probably using anarchy or whatever, but still add some paths or some bridges or whatever, some pedestrian features to it, and create a little death campus. And not have to design a massive hole in the road structure to do it. Like, this is already pretty big, but
that's not exactly what an increased death rate measures.
Either way, if everybody is dying, that gives
yes,
That's a wild.
I would like the main, yeah, I would love it if the main cemetery were just the building in the parking lot and maybe a little bit here, and then you zoned out the grave. That would be fantastic. I'm hoping that's something they add in the future. Because right now, this as it is so huge that I've watched. Yeah, that I've watched other people just wait for. That's not what I wanted. I wanted healthcare. There we go. Wait for unlocking the crematorium, which I've got it unlocked, but I can't afford it yet. And not actually plant a cemetery at all, and wait until they can plant a crematorium. And yes, people complain about dead bodies, but it means they're not putting this great big huge asset. Right, but it's not like a small town church cemetery. Yeah. It's not like a small town church cemetery or even municipal cemetery or anything like that. It's kind of huge. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, and you know, basically they were the current developers were all thinking in terms of, hey, everybody wants to build a city, right? So they're gonna go dense as quickly as they can, and they forgot that a lot of us are like, no, we want to grow a city. We want to grow a city. We want to grow a city and suburbs. And given the way the maps now work, where really I could right now. Well, I don't know if I can do it on this map, but if you have a map that has multiple places with highways and highway access, you can actually go ahead and unlock completely discontiguous tiles and build suburbs out nowhere near your main city, which you could never do in the old one. It always had to be contiguous building. So it's very strange because they allow for that, and at the same time, so much of the actual zoning and building is still designed around driving for density really early. And I'm hoping later patches adjust that balance. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. One thing they did do that the base game did not have, that they've already patched as part of the economy patch, is the specialized industries. I mean, they're all unlocked now. They are not all unlocked at the start, but they weren't any of them unlocked at the start in the original game. And the economy patch unlocked chickens, grain, rock, and coal. And that means that you could, theoretically, start a city with industry. You can start a city around the idea, oh, there's a huge coal deposit here. The whole reason for the city is they found coal. Right? Because that's the truth of cities. Cities grow up because there's something there. There's some reason to build a city there. The city of Minot, North Dakota, shouldn't be there. There's no reason for it to be there, except that the railroad went through and there was nothing else around except people's farms. So as soon as the railroad went through, Minot, North Dakota almost literally sprang into existence. It is called the Magic City because the city more or less just appeared. All because a railroad went through. Right. Yeah. Yep. And then on the flip side, right, and then on the flip side, the small towns that used to be cool because the U.S. highway or state highway went through them, and there was no interstate yet, but now the interstate goes right past them, and hardly anybody takes the smaller roads for whatever reason, and by comparison, they dried up because there's not, unless they had something to attract people, the mere fact that there was a highway wasn't enough anymore. Right. Yeah. Yeah. For that matter, Ithaca. If Cornell University, God forbid, Cornell University went bankrupt like a lot of other schools have lately and dried up, the city of Ithaca would blow away. Right. Because there's no industry. Like, NCR is gone. Ithaca Gun is long gone. What industry was there is gone. The college and the university are most of what keeps Ithaca alive. Ithaca doesn't like to think about that, of course, but it's true. All right, I'm gonna get to actually doing some building here, because I've got, as you can see, a lot of demand. I've got the red, yeah. Yellow is industry, although on this screen. I've got a, you know what, I'm going to change back to the defaults for now, just so it's not confusing on screen. I've got a lot of residential demand. I have some industrial demand. The yellow is industrial. I've got a little bit of office. Yeah. Yep. And I had a mod in place that let me change what the zone colors were, but it's confusing because the demand colors don't change. So I just changed it back to the defaults for now. Also going to turn on, I've actually been zoning a mix of European and North American because there really isn't any other way to get variety in your zoning right now. There's no equivalent of district styles or anything like that yet. There's just the two themes. So I've been zoning a mix of both just to keep things interesting. Yes, they had a lot of plans. Yeah. They had a lot of plans that have not come to fruition yet because they have needed to spend their time patching. And I'm very happy they've been spending their time patching because it's made the game much more playable now. But I can also imagine that they're a little frustrated because, yes, like they added all this other stuff for detailers, but one of the things detailers want is more assets. And they have not been able to give us more assets because they've been busy fixing some of the underlying mechanics. So I'm extending my the video will catch up soon, but I'm extending my 112 by 112 grid to add some more housing, because my housing demands have been like insatiable for a while now. And it's interesting, like I think there may still be some, I'm not going to call them bugs, but I think there's some balance issues still, because like I also still have 15% unemployment, so that makes me wonder why people want to move here when there aren't any jobs. Right? It's like there's not enough jobs to go around, people. Why are you moving here? Right. Okay. That's a good reason. And this neighborhood is still This neighborhood is still all low density single family housing. And I'm being militant about that for now because there's demand for that as well as for the higher densities. So that's what I'm going to zone here. And if you're wondering why I'm doing the trick, because even with lower density, if you don't do that trick, you don't actually know which way your houses are going to face when it's zoned like this. You still can't control it without a mod, and I don't like the way the mod works, so I don't have it plugged in right now. But it also lets me do things like what I'm doing on the sides is adding like little bits of office parcels or commercial parcels. It lets me make some mixed use neighborhoods here without going for density yet. And I kind of like that, especially when I clearly have some commercial demand. And even here, I'm doing the trick. I'm making them actually face the side street and then leaving the corners empty for something later on. And up the speed a little bit, because otherwise development is just dog slow. That's another thing I wish they'd change. They made a conscious choice to make things slow to fill in that I'm not sure I really agree with. And there we go. Now the commercial bar is, at least for the moment, commercial is satisfied, and that should also, yeah, it'll be back pretty quickly. As soon as people start moving in, they'll also want more shops. Let's see, I have another firehouse here. We're starting to see some crime brothers. Yeah, whatever. I don't know if it really is. Let's look at noise pollution. Okay, I kind of see their point. Because here, I've got a bunch of industry right here in the middle, and some people live fairly close to it. But there's not actually a huge amount of residential right in with the industry. There's some right in with some of the commercial here, and that's some noise. But like the every place that's really bad noise pollution is out on the fringes. So this feels to me like another balance issue where people are oversensitive to it. And it'll get worked on. I now have confidence that all the things that actually annoy people that can be fixed will be fixed, because they did release the economy patch, and that was such a huge change. Let's look at what's going on with the crime statistics, because I'm seeing a couple. Oh well, the cop caught up with it. It's not like they're not getting done. I was looking to see if I really need another police station, and from a regional standpoint, maybe, because I think I've only got the one small police station in the whole city right now. Because again, they added small ones, which is really nice, but the small ones have a lot of the smaller versions don't have any extendability. So like I can't just add another garage the way I can with the big police station to add more cars. But there's only half the cars actually being used right now, and there's plenty of room. So I think it's just a sprawl issue, and I will eventually add another police station. But actually, what I want to do now that I think I have enough money is early on I said we had an education problem because we are way oversubscribed. We're somewhat oversubscribed on the elementary school, but we're monstrously oversubscribed on the high school. There's, an entire city's worth of kids not getting educated. So, let's see, what do I want? They added, I could put another small high school, but I'd need like 3 of them. So I'm probably going to go ahead and plant one normal-sized high school now and add some extensions to try to bump it up. But one of the things they've also added is this urban high school asset. So if you were already dense, but you wanted to keep things sort of neighborhood-sized, you get a denser asset than the normal high school, the regular high school, which is nice. But I'm going to go ahead and add a high school over here, I think, over here in the Square District. Yeah, Because this square district has gotten big already, and even though it's low density at the moment, it probably won't always be low density. So I'm going to add it over here. And that buys us some breathing room for the moment. And it also used up all our cash, so I can't do anything for the elementary school yet. I could add another small one, but I'm not gonna. Not yet.
Leave that to those poets.
I'm also going to change the radio station because Professor Hornbuckle annoys me. There are no ads on these channels, but I don't think you can disable the public service announcements either. So there's, I don't know, yeah, there's two sets of radio channels, commercial and NPR, basically. And musically, I like them all. Like I've very rarely met a cities channel that I didn't like at least a little bit and wouldn't switch to occasionally. I'm currently still feeling a little nostalgic for City Skylines 2 or City Skylines 1 channels. But then I felt nostalgic for Sim City music forever, so doesn't mean much. Let's see. Do I want to create operating? Not yet. I don't have any. Oh yeah, the chirper, which ordinarily I mostly no I figured that's what it was coming from. Ordinarily, honestly, I don't look at the chirper very much. Every now and then I glance to see if people are coming up with the same complaints over and over again and what they're getting rated at. It is possible, honestly, that the chirper is more useful than I'm giving it credit for. But like things like the noise complaints, I honestly feel are too sensitive, like we just discussed. And so it means I don't use it as much. Yeah. Well, and there is an actual homelessness mechanic, and it's actually it's still a little oversensitive. But if you look in parks, let's see if I can find a park and see if we have the problem. I have not tended to look at it. But let's see, let's zoom in here. See if we've got anyone. Yeah. Oh no, those are rocks. Never mind. But apparently, if you look at the right time at the right parks, you will see people sleeping rough. You'll see tents go up. And that is a deliberate mechanic. But it's another one that is apparently just a little, it's still not calibrated well. And so you will still get, all right, I'm going to back that statement. I was about to say you'll get more of it than you should, but honestly, I don't know. There are towns like Chicago where one sees quite a lot of actual homelessness now. People actually sleeping out in tents and the encampment issue. And I don't blame the people who are sleeping rough. I blame the city for not providing the housing they need. So we've got a pollution problem because I built the low-rent housing too close to the industry. Yes, exactly. And I'm trying to decide if I want to fix it or not. I'm going to, you know what? Suffer. I'm a terrible person. I'm going to let them suffer for it because I want to see what happens. I want to see if the death rate actually goes up in those buildings or the ambulance call rate goes up in those buildings. Or if there's, yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's sort of exactly what I'm expecting to happen. Is like they're now on their summer holidays, so they're not going to do anything till September, and that's fine. They deserve it. I wish we had the same thing here. It's good to be Finnish, I guess. Because I could use a whole month off where I actually did not feel remotely guilty about taking a whole month off, and still had time I could take off later in the year, drawing in some offices because we got the demand. Commercial demand's also back, so I'm gonna fill in some of that in a minute. But yeah, for all that we'd all like them to hurry and give us more patches and improved gameplay. They're already doing so much better, and they've kind of gotten over. I think they've gotten over a big hurdle, and I know what it takes. Like, as a developer, I know what it's like to realize you've got an architectural problem in your code that you need to fix before you can fix what's actually bothering people. And that's a lot of what I think was going on here. Is they made some architectural decisions they had to fix. They couldn't just fix a bunch of spreadsheets and magically balance everything. Let's see. So the high school did break my current grid. So I'm going to go up to 224 to keep the overall size of the grid right. Also, I'm one of those weirdos who's actually perfectly content with things in meters. A lot of people were complaining about wanting units back and things like that. But I'm actually okay with. I don't know why. Maybe because now that I'm into radio, I think in meters a little more than I used to. I know I have a better feel for what a meter looks like. I'm also a nerd. Right. I think that's part of it too. Is that centered? I think it. Yes. That unbreaks my grid nicely. Lets me add 4 when I'm ready to do it, which, despite the demands, I'm not ready to do yet. I am going to add a little more commercial again because people are wanting it. And where's my employment at? 16%. So let's give people some commercial jobs. I'm trying to resist adding more industrial right now. I'm going to take a quick tab out. I want to see if it ever showed up on Facebook or not. I don't think it did. I don't know why it's not streaming to Facebook. Anyone who's on Facebook who's not seeing it, apologize. Once again, it's, I haven't streamed in ages and I've never streamed very seriously. So every time I do this, I have to try to remember how the hell I do it. So I've got a couple of farms here, as you can see. I built, see, this is the grain, half a grain, and almost meat, which is actually a carrot farm, vegetable farm. This actually didn't seem like an unrealistic place to put them. Like, I see, driving around the upper Midwest especially, you see farms wedged in between highways all the time. Because that was the compromise, right? The highway wanted to go through, the farmer didn't want to sell or was willing to sell some of their land, but not all of it. And so the farm comes right up against the highway. Even the interstate, you see that all the time in the real world. Well, that's funny. On the right, yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's not that uncommon either. Like, if they want to build the highway bad enough and the farmer wants to keep their land badly enough, that's what you will get. Quick question: how is the stream still washed out or dark or whatever? It looks better. I didn't do much of anything, but if it looks better, it looks better, and we'll just run with it. If it's visible, then that's all I really care about, is that I don't have to go monkeying too much with my settings. Trying to think about where I'm gonna go next for development. I do need to add some real industry, possibly specialized, but I need to add more real industry, both for jobs and for sort of city income purposes. Trying to decide where I want to put that. I really should satisfy some of the other demand densities. I'm gonna add some more row housing down. I want to put it. I put a bunch of row housing here. Yeah, like this one. This one clearly has a harbor built into it that I may or may not ever actually use as a harbor. But yeah, because he based it on a real map, and the real map had a harbor in it. There's a harbor here. I think I'm gonna add. How do I want to do this? Right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going. Yeah. Yep. I am going to not respect the topography and build row housing right here against a road that's on a slope. So that's all going to flatten the topography. I don't actually hate that. I don't think that's necessarily how it would be built in the real world. I think someone would actually have done some terraforming there. But I don't think it's terrible. But what I'm going to do is then I'm going to carve this up, and I'm going to play with building up density. So I'm going to do extend this road. Decide which road I want to. If I want to just extend this out the way it was, do that. Doesn't give us a lot to play with. I'm going to put EU medium density instead of row housing. And since we have commercial demand, although not a lot of foot traffic up this way, I don't think. Oh, we do have some foot traffic. Perfect. I'm going to do some. So it's interesting because building a lot of low density is not enough to get you the foot traffic that actually pings on the commercial radar. Like if I switch to commercial zoning, you see this big orange blob. That's customers. That's potential customer traffic. So because I've got two low density buildings or low rent, high density buildings here, there's a lot of people there, and maybe they won't spend a lot of money, but there's a lot of people, so there's a lot of foot traffic. So it makes sense. So I'm going to add mixed use the next block over, and I'm going to make that a little larger.
And if you can, plan your trip outside the rush.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather wait an hour in traffic than to have to start thinking about everything all the time. Besides,
and then I think along this back, which is next to this farm, even though the farmer might not love it very much, I'm going to build. I don't know if I'm going to do the low rent high density, but I'm going to build. I don't know what I'm going to build yet, but I may go higher. Basically taller there, because I want to play with the idea of have a progression of height and density. How are we doing for money? We're doing pretty well for money. It is remotely possible that the patch is still a little too easy for money. But I'm okay with it so far. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that it was looking for where my fire station is to make sure the fire station's only here. And they are not actually overloaded, so I'm not going to worry about it. We're getting some upgrades up there. That's nice. Where are we at? We're at 3. So that means, among other things, they're going to pay more property tax. What do we got up here? We've got row homes, EU row homes up here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm almost always playing this from higher up. It's funny because I don't actually think of myself as a city painter, but most of the time I'm playing the game, I'm playing it from like out here. And yeah, there are dogs but no cats. There are motorcycles but no bicycles yet. But you know, there's stuff. That's true, but you could still have cats running around the city. Yep. And there are some, honestly, there's some very nice assets in this game. The European row housing, I actually think all looks really good, and there's a mix of different European styles like this. I'm going to keep pointing here until the stream catches up with the highlight. Hopefully it will. I don't actually know how far behind the stream is right now. Let me know when you see 241 Sunset Street lit up. Okay. I saw a lot of that in the Netherlands. That style. And frequently, I'm not seeing it on this asset, but frequently at that peak, at the square peak, there's a hook, and that's a pulley, because it's the easiest way to get furniture up to the upper stories, is you actually hoist it up on a pulley and through the windows. Because otherwise you're going up these really narrow staircases and you have the Dirk Gently problem of a sofa that's going to get stuck forever. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So they actually accommodate that idea in this style of building, at least in the Netherlands, by just having a hook you can use as a pulley. I don't know if they actually then attach a pulley to the hook or just run the rope over or something, but yeah. But I do really like I want to, part of this stream is focusing on what I really like about what they've done with the game so far. There's a lot more to do, but the assets they have, I like. Here's some of the single family homes. Almost everything here is European, so they're a little monotonous. But like here's a couple of different styles, and they all look good. There just needs to be a little more variety, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and slot in a few North American, just for a difference. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and like the old game acknowledged that, right? It took them till almost the end of the game's existence. They had a whole pack of Brooklyn, medium density Brooklyn buildings, which, as someone who used to go into Brooklyn regularly, I loved those. I loved those red brick. Like, they're not pretty, but I still loved them. Yeah. Yep. Miami. It's got a very southern Florida in general, because it's very wet land and very storm prone. There's a very distinctive style of building down there. I had family down there, remember, so I was familiar with it. And it doesn't look anything like how we build up here. Not least of which because they don't need to insulate for the same things. Let's see. Well, the commercial demand is still very high. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Right. Yeah, it'll drain or it'll it'll dry and... Right. I still haven't figured out what I'm doing about industry, and I really should. Let's see. I've got a coal plant up here. And I built myself a... Yeah, I've got 2 coal plants right now, and I deliberately built a bit of a pad up here with the idea of building some more industry. Oh, the wind's fine. The wind all blows north. Here we go, air pollution. The wind all blows north relative to how I usually orient this map. So pretty much as long as I keep the housing down here or way up here, we're good. But it is also why I've been mostly developing around the coastlines and not further inland, is to not have to figure out, okay, how far do I have to go before people whine about the air pollution. And I think the circles are pretty much accurate. And if I'm far enough away from them, I'm fine. But I don't know. I haven't done much with it, and I've been pretty cagey when I do. So let's turn off air pollution sources. And just leave on air pollution itself. Yeah, see, this does spread out a bit. So, like, if I were to build housing right here, they'd be whining about it, and rightly so. I've got asthma, so, you know. But it doesn't look like, because of the way the wind's blowing, I could probably build more housing here, except I built the farm here. So, but, you know, the housing I was planning to build over here should be fine. Not that I've noticed, and not that anybody's said. And in this case, it's livestock anyway. But no, there's no obvious mechanic for. There's no obvious mechanic for you've got pollution too close to a farm, and so the farm is less efficient, less effective, possibly goes out of business, whatever. Which that's something they could work on in the future. Yeah, like of all the things I'd like them to fix, that's not on the list, honestly. Let's see. I feel like the high school is not actually attracting as many people as it should be, and it's actually not. Possibly it's just too far away from too many people, and they're not willing to walk, and I don't have any buses. I could add a bus. I could add a single bus. Can I afford bus? I think I can finally afford buses. I was actually thinking of adding a bus route a while ago. Bus depots are... That's right. There's no school buses, but I'm going to actually leave this up for a minute. You can actually see I did add a taxi depot, and there are taxis everywhere, which tells me that there is a demand for not driving your own car in this city. So I think I'm going to add a bus line. I think that's more or less what that is supposed to represent now. They call it taxis, but I think from the standpoint of how it works, especially if you're not adding taxi stands, is that it is meant to sort of represent people calling traditional taxis, Ubers, Lyfts, all of it, all of the car sharing capabilities. Oh, look, I unlocked a milestone. We are a busy town. All right, I'm going to actually look at that before I think about the buses. Decide what I want to unlock next. I'm going to unlock large roads. I don't really need them yet, but I'm going to do it. Let's see. That leaves me 9 points. Solar. They're super expensive. It's going to be a while before I can afford either geothermal or solar. Like, unlock geothermal, but it's like $750,000, and then a huge amount of upkeep a month. And I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. I don't think I am financially in the right place for that yet. Oh, I have, but buses are unlocked right from the beginning, or not They are unlocked by milestone and not by points, I should say. But I'm already there. I'm already at basic transportation services. Trains are the next thing I'd have to unlock separately in order to get to trams and subways, which that's an interesting choice because it's realistic that you'd start with train and evolve then to tram and subway in terms of technologies. But train only makes sense if you're sprawling or if you're trying to build a cargo route to a train route that already exists in your city. So it feels like an unnecessary speed bump to get to trams, but realistically it's not. Like from a technology standpoint, you start with trains and then you develop lighter trains. Yeah. Right.
A driving advisory has been issued for the immediate area due to poor road conditions. Please exercise
Yeah.
caution if you must drive and try to stay off the
For
street
for
in
mo
conditions.
yeah, for most of these, but yes and no, right? Because I can also jump straight to air travel. I can open an airport now. I don't want to, but I could. What I am going to do is open up large parks and sports parks so I can get some more variety in parks. And I don't think there's a bug on the post sorting facility that I don't think has been fixed, so I'm not going to bother unlocking that. Got 5 points though.
Industry in the region is on
Water
the rise,
treatment
and
plant.
when business is doing well, that floats our boat.
There's no sinking this boat, Glenda. And
Yeah.
on to our main feature story.
I've already got the incinerator unlocked. Let me unlock the recycling center. I
I
mean, at the moment, I'm pretty sure my garbage my landfill is plenty for garbage. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not in danger on the landfill, I don't
We'll be
think.
back after this.
I built a baseball diamond of a landfill over here, and it's in the yellow. I need to think about it, but I don't think I need to immediately plant. Oh, and I can upgrade it, so I could add. Forgot that I could do that. I can add a recycling unit to it. Don't think we have a garbage truck problem. No, we don't have a garbage truck problem yet. But yeah, adding recycling to it, I believe, will increase the processing speed. I don't know how long. Yeah, there we go. Oh, wait, no, the processing speed went down. There we go. It's thinking about it. At any rate, I think after it sort of percolates through its brain that I added that capability, that's supposed to reduces ground pollution and increases the. Oh, interesting. It doesn't look like it necessarily increases the processing speed at all. It just reduces the pollution, which is still good. Like, I don't mind. I'm not sad that I added that. But it doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. That's fine. But yeah, the pollution bubble seems to be a little smaller. Of course, we got the coal plant here, and that's still the big polluter. But yeah, it's going to be a little while before I can add either recycling or incineration because they're expensive. They're very expensive. And let's see, do I want to buy another tile yet? Or do I want to keep... Because I've got a lot of land here I can develop on. And I don't think I've got a desperate need. Yeah, that's just it, is I don't... Right. I haven't touched the peninsula yet. I haven't touched the area south of the 12 by 12 grid, or the 112 by 112 grid. And I'm not really feeling desperate for any of the resources. Like, fertile land is everywhere in this map. They basically made all the land fertile, which was an interesting choice. I'm not sure I completely agree with it, but they basically made all the land fertile. Now I've turned that off. It'll catch up on the stream in a second. So then we've got a bunch of ore, which will give us, actual ore and coal. But I have enough coal right now. I've got a surplus coming in. If I wanted to build an ore mine separately, I would need to buy a tile. But I'm not desperate to do that right now. Yep. And for my one other viewer, thank you for being there. If you want to chime in on the chat, please do so. And if you want to just hang out there, you can just keep hanging out there. I don't mind, and I don't judge. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, come watch me play Cities. Alright, what was I doing? I do. I still need more industry. That's what I was going to do. I'm getting distracted from actually adding industry. And a whole lot of industry all at once. I don't know how much of a dent it's actually going to make because industrial demand's been pretty constant. Oh, look, I'm finally making a dent in my unemployment rate because I actually added some industry. Yay! That catch up. I'll realize, oh look, there's plenty of jobs. Now we just have to go to work. Yep. I just added a whole bunch of industry over here, finally. And watching, basically I'm sitting here watching the unemployment number go down, which, not necessarily exciting to watch, but, nice to see that it's actually having an effect, although then it just jumped up again, which, I don't know. I wonder if they actually, I don't know if construction jobs count. There are games like Tropico where you actually have to have builders separate from other roles. And so it makes me wonder if while they're building a thing, is that employment? But then if they don't go to work at that same place, they're unemployed again afterward. Or if we're just seeing a churn of people moving in and versus people taking jobs. We'll see in another minute when the rest of the industry that I built fully fills in. I want to see how low that goes before I decide how much more I need to do and whether I need to terraform more of a pad. Because this was very bumpy land and I kind of terraformed a flat space for it, plateau for it. So I guess I went... Well, no, I didn't go that far. I went out to here. Guess I could go a little further without doing too much violence to the terrain, as long as I didn't... I don't know. I'm always mixed about how much I want to do with the terrain, because on the one hand, I'm like, in the real world, how much terraforming are they really going to do? They're going to do enough to make sure that a building's got a nice flat plot of land. Are they going to completely re-terraform a coastline like this? I doubt it. I doubt it. But on the other hand, on a map this bumpy, it's hard to find enough flat space. And particularly for housing, I am less fussed about it. Because I grew up in a very bumpy area for housing. And I've seen how they zone in California, especially in like San Francisco. And apparently, I have a healthcare problem because I've got ambulance calls all over the map that are apparently. Oh yes, healthcare availability is crap. Okay. Oh yeah, and the of course the buildings with the pollution problem are having a healthcare crisis. That doesn't surprise me. So let's let's put a full-size medical clinic. We can afford it easily now. Put that in the big space over here. Not sure what that. Oh, someone new is following me. Hello, Shaolin 524. Welcome to my stream. You probably don't know me, and if you do, I'm sorry that I don't know you by that name. Welcome aboard. I'm just playing some cities, talking with my friend JC. I think you'll be able to hear him on the stream too. And oh, hey, Steven. Welcome over here. Thank you for coming. How's the ham radio stuff going? And, yeah, I am having to tab around to actually see the chat, unfortunately, because whatever magic I used to have that overlaid the chat over my game isn't working with this game, or just isn't working. So I'll figure that out another time. Now that the game is playable, I will be streaming a little more often than I have been. Anyway, let's see if that fixed my medical problems. Ambulances are getting out. One patient there. That's not much yet, but yeah, the ambulances are getting out. Got all 5 in use. I am not going to expand the garage right away. Instead, I'm going to wait and see if that... Basically, I'm going to wait and see if that gets absorbed, like once the demand for medical is absorbed. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to need more ambulances. What'd you get for a mobile radio, Steven? I apologize for any delays answering, talking to you from the chat, but like I just said, I actually have to tab back and forth to see the chat. I don't have magic in place to see the chat on the screen with the game, so just bear with me and I'll be with you. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's the one I've got, too. I actually have it at home. I've got it in my office, the FDM 500. It's a great radio. It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing even on Bluetooth. Yeah, it just works. It's a great radio. Can't say enough good things about it for what it does. Haven't had a problem with it at all. All right, let's see. Where did we wind up with our unemployment? We're still at 12% unemployment. That's no good. Oh, look, we've got a traffic problem too. That can't be helping anything. What do we got going on here? Oh, well, we did just build a bunch of housing down here, didn't we? And oh, you're right. I still haven't implemented the buses. I got distracted. So let's finish doing that. Let's figure out. Yeah, let's figure out where we're putting the bus depot. Let's put it. Put it here. That feels okay. Gonna be a little noisy, maybe. Maybe put it on the. That's all. What do we got here? This is residential. This is commercial. Or actually, no, that's industrial. That's perfect. We will put the bus depot.
For the immediate area due to poor road conditions. Please exercise caution if you must.
We'll put the bus
Stay
depot
off the streets until conditions improve.
Here.
This has been a local public service announcement.
And let's start putting some bus stops around. Oh,
Fast,
we need to
Brownie. Don't go
actually
away.
the bus depot. We need. No, I don't think we need a bus station.
And
We do
on
need
to
bus
our
stops.
main feature
Let's build a
story.
route.
The commercial district is booming, as the area is
Build that
attracting
route.
more high-end stores, bringing the latest in
I'm going to
luxury to our
start
neighborhood. You can now shop
over
for
by the high
designer
school.
shoes while sipping a fancy local
Yeah, we're
jar
going to
of
start over
mountain.
by the high
Or
school.
so my wife tells me. That's good for business and good for the community.
Thanks, Jim.
Why
We'll
are
be
you
back
not?
after this.
Oh, the stops and the routes are separate
We're
now. That's
live,
right. I keep forgetting
and we're
that.
getting reports about a traffic accident somewhere in the city.
Road maintenance services have already
We're
been
going to have
dispatched.
to
Traffic
pair
flow
those
should
up if
return
we
to
want
normal. But if you're
bidirectionality.
planning a quick trip out, you might want to wait a little while until everything clears up.
A little bit of a
Forgive me,
pain, but I'm all right with it.
You already know about it. No use reminding you. Meanwhile, expect delays.
Yep, I agree entirely. Let's see, where do we want that route to go next? Yep, that's part of what I'm looking at to decide where should people go. They're even going out of town, right? They're actually commuting by taxi, which is crazy. All right, let's put some stops over here by the industrial park. And then we'll run up here where we've got dense housing. Make sure I didn't put two next to each other. It's a little hard to tell sometimes. Another pair here. Then we will come. I want it on the coastal road. Yeah, we'll do it on the coast. Here. I'm trying to figure out how to do what I want to do without making a figure eight. And in the end, the answer may be that I make two routes. Because I also want to cover the industrial district on the other side. But I don't want this to be too long a route, this first route. Let's bring it back. Let's here. Medium density row housing starts here. We've already got we come back around to the high school. Okay, now let's make that a route. I don't entirely love the mechanic of needing to add stops separate from routes. I understand why they're doing it, but it does, in my opinion, add a complication I'm not sure we need it. Like, even from a standpoint of liking detail and liking realism, I'm not sure it adds what we really needed. It was an interesting thought, but it would be nice to at least have the option to sort of simplify it out. I'm going to go over here. Delete the other one on this side. Oops, that was a mistake. You can't stop in the middle of creating a route. If you stop in the middle of creating a route, it does not save what you've done so far. You have to start over. That is annoying. That is super annoying. I'm not sure the old game was any better at that, but it's super annoying. Super annoying. That's not where I want that to go. So one interesting thing is you can plant points where there's no stop or sign. But I don't think the bus will actually stop there. I think it's just for shaping the route, which I will do in a little while. Yeah, which I will do in a little while because I don't like all the routing it's doing right now. That's a feature I'm glad they added, the ability to actually drag the routes around. Yeah. Yeah. Here. And we're going... Oops. I made another mistake. I'll fix it in a minute. I actually want that route to come down. Not want it to go all the way back. Not going to fall into the same trap again. Back to here. And bed. Okay. Well, that's a little weird, and I'm not sure all the stops are in the right place. We have a route. Now, I gotta make a couple like where I want. I want to move a stop. At a waypoint. Find the waypoint to move. Doesn't move the stop. How do I get rid of a stop? Need the bulldozer? Yes. Bulldoze the stop. Add a new stop where I put the waypoint. Then to the stop. There we go. Now a little less weird. I don't know. I don't think it did what I wanted it to do yet. What I want it to do is turn here. I need a waypoint to make that happen. There we go. A little crossovery, but it's working. Well, let's see if people ride it. I am going to speed things up. When in doubt, speed things up. I have not done anything to adjust the vehicles or anything like that yet. I'm just let it be what it is going to be for the moment. I'm gonna give it a name though. I don't like bus line 1. Line 1 is boring. Sure. In what direction is that going? That's. I'm gonna call. I think that's clockwise. It depends on your perspective. Alright, I was going to fix this one too. I don't want too many stops. Not really. There we go. All right, now I should build the other direction. I should build counterclockwise. That's the tool I really wish they'd add in terms of routing tools that I feel are missing. Is just build both directions. Like I don't want it to be defaulted. I want it to be an option. Like I can see arguments for not doing it all the time. But I would really like it to at least be a possibility. Now, coming across here, which way do I want to go first? Really maintain opposite directions. It's a little weird. Okay. Let it bring me right back to there. Here. What are we doing? Waypoint. There we go. That's good. Stop them. Do it. That's so weird. Maybe I just didn't think this through well enough. I want it to loop. Right turn here. Okay, that is working.
A driving advisory has been issued for the immediate area.
And we're sort of doubling up here, though, which I don't love.
Caution if you must drive and try to stay off the streets.
If I can go deliberately around.
This has been a local public
Here.
service announcement.
I'm back around. That maintains the parallelism of it.
You're listening to Deluxe Relax with Alice Brash and me, Sarah. Alice stepped out for a second and left me in charge, so don't go away.
And on to our main feature. The commercial district is booming as the
Hello, Entity MN.
high-end stores bringing the
Oh, and hello, Samira.
neighborhood.
Long time no see.
Now shop for designer shoes while sipping a fancy local Jarva mate. Or so my
Welcome to the stream. I'm just noodling around trying to build a bus route that makes something like sense right now.
We'll be back after.
And I don't blame the game for the fact that it's having trouble making sense. I'm blaming me for not completely thinking through transportation planning when I was building out my grid. I'm going to pause the game because I just noticed I've got an electricity problem and I want to solve it before people start abandoning. All right. We're going to call that a route and we're going to fix what's weird about it later. But all of a sudden, we've got a power problem. Hello, Entity MN. Yes, I did in fact recognize both your handles. So, Carissa and Eric, welcome aboard. Been a while, been a long time since I've seen either one of you. It's nice. All right, what am I going to do about my power? You boost the budget, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to build another power plant. Do I have the money for another power plant? Let's find out. I actually could build geothermal. It will use all my remaining money. And I have no idea what we'll do to my budget. Could also build solar, which I can... Actually, no, I can't afford solar yet. I haven't unlocked solar yet, but also it's twice as much as geothermal. But I do really like the idea of building a geothermal plant. So where the hell can I put it and have it work and fit? Because I might actually have to buy a tile to do that. Because it's huge. I mean, stream should be catching up momentarily with it. The hydro plant or the geothermal plant is just tremendous. Can I fit it here between the railroads where I have not developed anything yet? I can go all the way to the bottom of my parcel here. And one nice thing with this game is you can place these things before you place the road. Are those railroad lines or high tension lines? That's fascinating. I wouldn't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're the high tension lines. Yeah. It just looked a little pixelated. But all right, I'm going to put that. It does. It explicitly wants groundwater. So it's showing me the groundwater here, and the old, like the polluted groundwater up here. Up here, there's no space anymore for it. But, you know, there's a lot of groundwater here on the peninsula, and I haven't developed anything on the peninsula yet. We've already discussed that. I'm going to go ahead and stick it right here at the bottom and then run the road down to it. Where do you want the road to come in? You want the road... There. Basic guidelines. Oh, and that's 2 lanes up there. I don't think I need it to be 2 lanes. Yeah. But what I'm trying to do is find a place where I can build a nice curve that'll then get me down here. I think I'll build this 90. And I'm completely ignoring the topography and just going up and over things. I might fix that later, but for now it's fine. You know what? I'm gonna basically get you in what might be the beginning of a grid. Because it doesn't have to be good traffic flow right now, it just needs to be a road. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to use the complex curve, continuous curve. Generally speaking, I like the continuous and complex curve better in this game than I did in the old game, but they still are occasionally strange. Not enough money. Oh, I ran out of money! One more time. What's more with squealing? There we go. Maybe I'll fix the rest of these to curves later. But for now, the real point is we have power, and we are not bankrupt. We actually had enough money to do that with. Thank heaven. That'll keep us in the soup for power for a while. Yeah, we've got plenty of power now. Water is going to be our next challenge. We're starting to run down our ability for both water and sewage. Yeah, let's see. What do we want to do next? We need... Well, we've got commercial demand. Give ourselves some more small shops here. Sure. Every high school that has anything in walking distance needs at least a, burger joint. Even my high school had a Burger King nearby. In walking distance. Of course they knew. Of course they knew. There's no way that was an accident. Let's see, what else would we add right now? We're still got a lot of industrial demand, and our unemployment is better though. Our unemployment is definitely improved. Yeah, but some of that is I also have not added much housing lately, so it's just sort of filling in the nooks and crannies, and people are being born, but nobody's really moving in right now. And I'm actually okay with that. What are you complaining about? You're complaining about garbage because we have in fact exhausted the landfill's capacity. Yeah, so what do I do that'll improve capacity? Hazardous waste collection point. Where do I put that? I'm gonna have to ditch some actual industrial zoning. Put that in across the street. But at least that's an option now to put it across the street. All right. So that bumps up the processing speed. I can't because of where I put it. Because I put it on a corner of two roads. The radius of the baseball diamond is the radius. Yeah. Like I'll go here and you'll see. Maybe let's show me the range. Yeah, you can see the brown. I'll wait for it to catch up on the stream. You can see the brown circle. That is the maximum radius, and I'm pretty much, for all that I'm only using a quarter of it, I would have to knock out like whole neighborhoods to build more landfill, and I don't want to do that. I want to wait until my budget recovers and then build like an incineration plant or recycle plant somewhere and start reducing my dependency on the landfill rather than... Yeah, and I don't want to do that. So bad enough I had to remove some industry to add some hazardous waste collection. But on the flip side, the industry is what's generating a lot of the hazardous waste. So I do like, one of the things I like is that in terms of upkeep, it actually breaks out what the hazardous waste collection point has for upkeep, separate from the landfill, the little recycling unit I added, wages, etc. The downside is when you look at the upkeep number, like when you go to landfill and it shows you what the upkeep will be, that upkeep does not include wages yet. So under the heading of things I feel like they need to add, the tips you get when you mouse over a building you want to build should include not just upkeep, but also wages, so you know what the real cost of the building is. And right now it doesn't do that. Until you build it, you have no idea how much you are spending paying people. And something is seriously boosting our budget all of a sudden. I don't know what. But all of a sudden, I don't know if you're seeing it on the stream, but all of a sudden, like, those numbers are just shooting up. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. Maybe it's, I don't think so, because that's now a policy option to import and export, and I don't think I have that on. Oh, you know what? Export may not be optional. Import is optional. Let me look at hazardous waste and see, because I don't know that we actually have a connection to anybody. No, we don't. We don't have a connection to anybody right now. This map is pretty much the part of this map where the city is does not have any built-in connections to the world yet. It's got a starter road. It's got a starter road, but doesn't go anywhere. But taxes, service fees, monthly, but like maybe I don't know, where the heck is all that coming from? Maybe we're selling the surplus coal. I don't know. I don't actually know where the money's coming from. We're doing, like, industry's got demand, but actually we're doing well in terms of making most of our own stuff, which I do kind of like. It looks like we could use more. What is this? This is food. Like food manufacturing is light. Timber, we don't have any. Honestly, we have no timber industry, so we have no forestry industry, no specialized forestry. So we have no timber industry, which makes sense. I have to assume that this is like tax collections or something like that.
Oh, all right. This one's from Levi. There's been a lot of
And I don't know, do we? I don't think we have fees that we collect as part of the hazardous waste.
Oh, that is a good one. I have some
Stored garbage.
high up in the insurance.
Yeah, I am still at high speed, so that's at least part of it. But the numbers were still changing. Like, I just went down to second speed, and we're still like having interesting jumps. But adding the processor did help. We're still very close to the processing line. I may have to add a second collection point because it's going to be a while before we can afford recycling or anything, right? Those are $1 million for incineration and $880 for a recycling plant. And we're not there yet. We're going to be a little while before we get there. So I may have to... No, I'm not taking a loan. I've already learned that lesson. Especially in the newer game where the economy is all harder. Not doing it. Not going to happen. Oh, this is interesting. You can separately delete or deactivate the upgrades now. I don't think you could do that before. I am going to do it. I'm going to add another waste plant because we're just not keeping up and we need to. And that does not seem to have killed our income. I think it's about like, well, some of it is I think it's thinking about it, but I also think some of it is like employees quit, employees get sick. Like how effective it is depends on how many people are actually working. Like just there was a brief glitch where it went to only 69 employees. Nice. And that would have dropped its efficiency briefly as well. Yeah. But I don't think so. Let's see, that would be under education probably. But I don't think they added a library yet. You can add a library to the schools that can be expanded, if I remember correctly, but there's no separate library yet. That's the bus depot. That's the high school. Yeah, you can add a school library. But yeah. But they haven't added a library building yet. No. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yep. Yep. I still don't like my healthcare. I mean, there's not a lot of ambulance calls, but if I look at what's keeping the happiness down, which that's also gotten harder. Like all the attention's been on how paying the bills in the new patch, the Economy 2.0 patch, has gotten harder. Very little of the attention has gone on the happiness has gotten harder. It used to be you'd get them to the point where they were fully happy, and you'd have to actively work to make them unhappy again. What are you complaining? Oh, you're complaining about garbage piling up down here just because you're at the end of the line. I'm going to let you complain. I'm not adding a garage right now. Because actually we have plenty of vehicles. We're just apparently haven't bothered to get one down to you yet. I don't know. I might need a cul-de-sac down here too to sort of encourage traffic flow. A little... They do, in a sense. If I was willing to build a second landfill, I can build districts now. You remember the mod in the old game that lets you assign things to districts? I used that heavily towards the tail end of my time playing City Skylines 1. That's now built in. That's been built in since they released the game. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Don't leave the geothermal plant unhappy for too long because we like electricity. Right. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, Samira. I never actually answered the question of how it's going. It's actually going pretty well. I don't know how much you're on Facebook. I don't know how much you saw. Being a great big nerd with radio these days, and that's, among other things, been part of how I've been waiting out Cities Skylines 2, figuring out its shit. Because I would have been streaming Cities Skylines a lot more, except Cities Skylines 2 came out in a wrecked state, in a terrible state. And they really needed to fix their shit, and they finally have started to. And that's what I'm playing here, is a game that is significantly better with very few mods. And now they're on summer break, so it'll be a while before we get another patch. But we should get another patch not long after they come back, even if it's a small one. All right, let's see. I've got a huge amount of commercial demand again, and I should zone for it. I should do something. So let's see. Where am I going to put that? I'm going to put it over... And maybe a little bit over here, because there's definitely good traffic. That fill in. Another interesting change that I don't know what patch it happened in, but I don't think it was actually the economy patch. When the game first came out, you zoned, and a lot of the demand bars immediately reacted, as if people had already moved in and people were already employed there. And now there's a little bit of a lag. Like, the building apparently has to at least be built to a certain point before the demand reflects that you've done something. And I'm not sure which one I like better. Like, before, when the demand was dropping almost immediately, that felt weird. That felt like, especially when it takes so long for the buildings to build. it was hard to tell where the demand was going to go next. But now it also doesn't. It's a little hard to tell where the reaction, like, did I actually zone enough here? I'm not going to know for a few minutes. Although at this point, I'm going to guess actually not, and I'm gonna put another strip of commercial right over here. Yeah, I didn't think you were on Facebook much, Carissa. I hadn't seen you in ages there, and that's fine. Like Facebook's how I keep in touch with people, but it's also kind of a cesspit. So, like, I don't blame anyone for not being on Facebook. But yeah, at least it's not X. I'm so done with X. I left X a long time ago. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, the game should not have been released when it was released. Someone who wanted to make the money off the sales made a decision that they should have known better not to make after the disaster that was Cyberpunk 2077. Now, on the flip side, as someone who also plays Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red totally redeemed themselves. That game, as it stands right now, is not only playable, it's awesome. Genuinely awesome. It is a fantastic game. Could it be slightly more immersive and be everything that they originally promised? Sure, it could be. But it is a genuinely good game with a lot of replayability and a lot of choices that actually make a difference, and I love it. What I've played of it so far, I've not actually played it through. The storyline hasn't really grabbed me yet, is I think a lot of the problem. But also, of course, at this point, I've played through the whole game 3 times, which I almost never do. And so going back to replay it again to go through the expansion is kind of But I'm also not sure I want to go in like with one of my original characters and go in fully loaded. That feels almost like... Yeah, so that's not really what I want to do. So yeah, I just haven't figured out what I want to do about that yet. And the truth is, depending on when Dragon Age 4 comes out, Cyberpunk is totally going on the shelf at that point. Like, unless Dragon Age 4 winds up totally sucking, that's totally going to eat my brain once it comes out. You know, I'm really hoping, like, Electronic Arts is not knowing for learning its lessons or learning other people's lessons, and that's part of the problem. But I am really hoping that this time around they paid attention to the debacle with Cyberpunk 2077 and with other games they themselves have released that really weren't fully baked. And they know that Dragon Age fans, on the one hand, really want another game and might cut them some slack, but there's only so much slack they're going to get cut after a decade of waiting for the next game. I'm having a... Right, exactly. I mean, we kind of had that reaction with Cities, right? When it came out so badly unfinished, we were all pretty pissed, and I think we had a right to be. So the bus line's definitely getting use, and at some point I should draw in the second bus line I was going to draw. That's going to cover the other half of the screen. That's going to cover the other industrial area and so on. For Skylines? Yeah, a little bit. Like, people who are playing on potatoes still complain about it. But, you know, I'm not playing on a potato, and it was still kind of chunky for a while. It was kind of rough to play. But yeah, but it's been pretty smooth now. And I've also played it. I have a new laptop, a Framework 16 with the AMD video card. And strictly speaking, it does not meet the requirements that they originally put out for this game. But when I have played Cyberpunk on, or not Cyber, Cities on it, actually I have tried Cyberpunk on it as well. But when I've played Cities 2 on it, it's been great. And I'm pretty sure if I played Cities 1 on it, it would be great too, because it's got plenty of RAM. Like, one of the problems I was running into, you may remember, with Cities 1 is I had so many mods and assets to bring it up to the kind of game I wanted to play, that it literally was taking up 32 gig and then some of RAM. And so it was like 20 minutes to start, to launch it, and to get all the assets loaded. And then it was occasionally chunky because it was swapping. Well, I got 64 gig of RAM on the new laptop. But I've still only got 32 on this machine, and it's working fine. And, also I've still got the 3090, which arguably is now an old video card, but it was so over-spec'd for anything I needed that you'll notice that I am streaming and playing this game at full resolution, and everything's fine. Everything's pretty smooth. Yep.
Due to poor road
Yep.
conditions. Please exercise
Yeah.
caution if you must drive and try to stay off the streets until conditions
Right.
improve.
Right.
This has been a local public service announcement.
Yeah, no, the 3090 is no slouch at all. And yeah, I saw your comment about Shaolin. I saw your comment about Cyberpunk being meh for you. It wasn't for everybody, right? Like, I love it. It's the kind of RPG that I like to play. I also loved The Witcher 3, which was also a CD Projekt Red game. The one thing I might have done differently for Cyberpunk was give you more ability to actually play with a party rather than running solo most of the time. But they stuck with what they knew, which was you've got one hero and occasionally he's got a companion, but mostly he's running solo, or she, in the case of Cyberpunk, can be either one. But it's not for everyone, and I know that. On the flip side, like, Skyrim was never my bay. I've tried multiple times to get into Skyrim or any of the Elder Scrolls games, and I just could not do it. Fire up your ham radio and everything comes crashing down. The problem is I have not yet built up shack here in the house. So the only ham radio I have in the house is a mobile VHF UHF, and it does not do that. It doesn't fry anything. I don't actually have a problem transmitting from it while I'm running, like, working upstairs in the office. But we'll see what happens when I actually have an HF radio and a shack in the house. I have solved my noise issues in the house. For a long time, I couldn't play ham radio at home, HF ham radio at all at home, because there was some screaming radio frequency interference coming through that just blanked the bands I wanted to play on. It all came down to a hard drive on Pixel's desk that she wasn't even using anymore. It was an old backup hard drive, actual spinning platters. Pretty sure it was actually the power supply in it, not the hard drive itself. But she wasn't even using it. So we switched it off and all the noise went away. It's still noisier here than it would be if I went to a park. But it is now possible that I will actually build a shack at home, because the noise that was making it seem like it just wasn't worth the effort is gone. So anyway, I've got a lot of zoning demands here, don't I? Like, part of me is like, okay, there's a lot of zoning demands, but I'm making money, so how much of a hurry am I in? And there's another part of me that's like, it's time to expand the city. I just need to decide which direction I want to go. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a very common problem with... Oh, yeah. I had a similar problem until I had the right cables, the right USB cables with ferrites built into them for choking the interference. When I used a laptop with a touch screen or a touchpad with the radio when I went out to operate, it wouldn't usually have spurious touches, but it would start ignoring my touches. Or I would touch the touchpad in one place and it would think I touched it somewhere else. And And as you might imagine, that's very frustrating when you're using it to log and you need it to be, somewhat accurate, and it's just not. All right, what do we got here? We've got a train line here. We don't have trains yet, though. I haven't unlocked trains yet. This map's got trains built into it, though. The rail yard, though, is huge. And very noisy. Do I have the points to unlock it yet? I'm just sort of curious if they've... Yeah, I do. I'm going to unlock trains while I'm here. I'm sort of curious. Because I'm thinking through what I want to unlock next and where I want to go next. There's also rail on the peninsula, of course. But I think, I might build a station on the peninsula eventually. I don't necessarily want the yard there, because there's not a lot of room for it. They're both services, but like I could put the rail yard down here and run. Yeah. Like I'm thinking about that, or unlocking the tiles over here and extending into that. I'm not ready to place rail yet. This is more just reminding myself how big it's going to be to get a sense of what I'm going to need when I do it. And reminding myself that, oh yeah, I've got all this rail actually running through my city that at some point is going to be pretty awesome and pretty useful for cargo, if nothing else. But for right now, what am I going to do? I am going to zoom this out. I'm going to actually buy that one and that one. Can I afford both? Actually can't. The problem with how they made that tiles huge is they also made this tile is like an entire county, right? And I could really use that tile, but I can't afford it right now. But I could afford this one. And that's not terrible. Like, it's not really the direction I was thinking of going next. But I can do stuff with that. So I think I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to take a break. I need a bio break. So I am going to... And here I am, back again. And now it's just me, so I'll be talking to myself a lot. But feel free to talk up in the chat, and I will tab out to try to see the chat a little more often. I'm As I indicated, I don't have the magic in place right now. I used to have some magic where Streamlabs would show me the chat on my game screen, and either it's no longer working or it doesn't work with City Skylines, or I just forgot how to turn it on, or I don't know what. But it's not working right now, and so yeah, so I just have to periodically tab out. But also, I've been watching on my phone. I've only been watching the YouTube chat to try to have another place to watch. And maybe since it looks like all of you are on Twitch, I'll just bring up Twitch on my phone and see if I can watch the chat that way. But I also don't want to waste too much time on it, because while I do want to talk to y'all and I do want to see what you have to say, I do also at some point need to eat, as I said. So I don't know. Okay, there we go. I can see my stream on Twitch. And I can see the chat. Yay! Okay. So now that I can see the chat on my phone, that's a little easier. And now I can get back to what I was doing, which was I was going to expand my city. Some of you may have noticed that my map has some lovely jagged grid going on. This is a custom map that someone built. It is mirroring the city of Victoria, British Columbia. And I don't know if like these represent neighborhoods of the city or neighboring towns and counties or what. I haven't actually checked. But apparently if you use the map editor in City Skylines 2, you can build non-square grid references. You don't have to make everything square, which is pretty cool. And so yeah, I'm sort of enjoying that dynamic, and it feels a little more realistic, I think. So all right, let's expand. Let's build out this grid up here. These are, doesn't tell me how long they are. It's not actually building new. That's annoying. All right, we'll fake it. We'll go a little bigger than my other grid. I want to keep this grid a little distinctive. My other grid, the grid of squares below is all 120, 112 by 112. I want to keep this grid a little different. Keep this grid rectangular. And it's breaking up my zoning again because they still haven't. There. Nope, nope, nope. Nobody, nope, nope, nope. Uber, nope. I mean, it may still ultimately be stupid, but it looks better. Down here. And I didn't even pay attention to how long that block was. And $92. Nerdy number. One second. Multiples of 8. Great for nerds who think in binary already. Oh. $20. One. There's actually a grid building tool
A
in
driving
this
advisory has been
version.
issued for
I
the
almost never
immediate
use
area
it.
due to poor road
Not
conditions. Please exercise
not really
caution if you
entirely
must avoid
reliable is
and
the
try to
problem.
stay off the streets until conditions improve. This has been a local public service announcement. A driving advisory has been issued for the immediate area due to poor road conditions.
Yes, you said that
Please
already.
exercise caution
Don't
if you
repeat
must
yourself.
drive and try to stay off the streets until conditions improve. This has been a local public service announcement.
Well, what do you want to do with this new neighborhood? I think
You're
this
listening
is
Deluxe
going
Relax
to.
with Alice Brash. I'm her co-host, Sarah.
What do I want? I'm going to do some medium density.
This just in from traffic. If you're thinking about hitting the streets, you can expect delays on the major roads, especially during rush hour.
Good to know,
Start
Jim.
building the city a
Seems
little
like
taller
everyone's
and
in
a little
hurry to get
denser.
somewhere fast. It's worth slowing down. And if you can, plan your trip outside the rush.
Corners to make
Oh,
sure it
I
actually
don't know.
builds
I'd
where I
rather wait
want
an
it
hour in
to.
traffic than to have to start thinking about everything all the time. Besides, if I did that, I'd never get anywhere.
Industry in the region is on the rise, and when business is doing well, that floats our boat.
There's no sinking this boat, Glenda.
A bit staticky? That's interesting. I wonder why, because nothing's really changed. I'm using the same mic. All I did was mute it when I went away. Maybe I should make sure the Streamlabs thinks I'm still using the same mic. Let me have a quick look. But it should be. I don't know. Noise removal, echo removal. I don't know. Let me know if it sounds a little better now. I did a couple of tweaks, but it more like popping picket fence. Oh, that's interesting. That could just be I don't know, that could be performance issues of some sort on the machine. The machine may be now that the game is getting a little populated. No, I've got headroom on the machine though. I don't know. Let me know if it gets to the point where it actually sounds like hard to actually understand. Oh my god. Is that really PK? Good heavens. It's been a billion years. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, let me know if the audio gets too distorted to really understand, and I'll see if I can do something more with it. Because, I'm incoherent enough by myself without the microphone being a problem. New signature building, condos. Oh, that's perfect. That's actually perfect for what I'm doing here. I'm going to put that right here. Right in the middle of the whole medium density block I'm building out here. So you may notice that I'm not zoning like full blocks, and I'm being a little careful, and I'm particularly avoiding corners. The game is a little, how do I put it? The game is still a little weird about which way around buildings will face when zoned, and there's not a lot of control for it right now. And the old game had some problems with it, but it's worse in this game. And so I tend to avoid corners until I need them. Not least of which because particularly with housing, avoiding the corners until its neighbors have filled in will often make everything else fill in the right direction because there's nothing the right width in the other directions. But also on corners, I don't care as much if things face a little weird. All the time. Anyway, that's why I'm avoiding corners. It also provides space for later on doing things like I was doing on the other block down here in this grid, where I've been adding small-scale commercial to the strips that I haven't been zoning residential. So yeah, I like that that a lot. Is the audio still distorted or has it cleared up? Because I'm annoyed if it's still distorted, honestly. It was fine earlier. And all I did was walk away and hit mute, the physical mute button on my... Still popping. Weird. Weird, weird, weird. Huh. I wonder what I can do about that. Wonder if I can do anything about that. Let's see. It maybe Twitch is wonky. It could be. I don't think it's the mute switch that's wonky, because if it were, the LED that's on it would be going on and off. At least I think it would. Let me pull down the strength of the noise removal I've got right now. And draw. I already tried toggling it again. But I just reduced the noise suppression, which may ultimately mean things get noisier and you hear more of my background, but it should also give up more processor. So if it's a processor problem, it should free it up. Same pop. That's annoying. That's annoying. Let me turn the noise removal off entirely. That'd be even noisier, but that'll tell us if it's the noise removal that's actually causing a pop or if it's something else. Because I'm not doing anything physically in my space that's like making clicky noises. Maybe I should take off my headphones, though. These are noise canceling headphones. Maybe there's something going on in my space I don't know about. Oh, I think I know what it is. Tell me if it's gone now. The fans on my desktop occasionally get buzzy. And, I basically have to apply some percussive maintenance. Yeah, I know. If noise removal makes more noise, that's usually bad. But, sometimes when the processor's overloaded, it can cause gapping and things like that. But I don't think that's the case here. I'm not sure what the problem is. Let's see. I'm gonna turn down. I am noticing that it's showing me like yellow on the levels, so maybe the popping is actually that I'm overdriving it. Yeah, I'll bet you that's what it is. Let's be honest, I don't talk quiet, and I might, when I sat back down, maybe I was sitting a little closer to the mic now. So I've turned down the levels. So let me know if it's still popping. Now that I've cut the levels down, maybe I was overdriving. Lower but still popping, just popping quieter. Well, that's not as much fun. How much more do I want to screw with this is the question. It is a USB mic. Yeah, I've always just had it. It's a Yeti though. It's a good USB mic. Unplug and replug. I wonder if I can do that easily. I don't remember where I've actually got the plug running to in my rat's nest of cables. And I think the cable that runs into the mic itself may be hardwired. But let's find out, because it's been a little while since I've even tried that theory. Good Lord. Where the heck is it? There it is. No, that's not it. Where the heck? There's the cable. How about now? Is it still doing it now? Because I may have just found the culprit. It may have been something I completely forgot about. Is it still doing it? Or is it gone? La la la, la la la. It's still happening. Okay. I discovered that I still had a wired mic plug, a mini plug, half plugged into it from the days when I used a wired headset with it and used it as my monitor. Anyway, yes, I'm about to unplug the USB and plug it back in. Stand by. There we go. It also helps if I unmute again. All right. Can you hear me now? There we go. And is the popping now cleared up? And no, still pop. Okay. We may just need to live with the pop for now, because I really had only planned to operate for about another 15-20 minutes. I hope it's not too annoying. Thank you for sticking with me while I figured this shit out. And next time I stream, I'll once you pop, you can't stop. Next time I stream, I will do a mic check ahead of time, see if it's still happening then. I really hope it's not something going wonky with the mute button. That would really annoy me because I have no idea how I'd fix it, and these mics are not cheap. A Mikey check. These mics are not cheap, and I don't really want to have to replace it if I don't absolutely have to. I will if I have to, though. You know what? There's a bunch of knobs on the back of this. I don't even remember what they do. I'm afraid to twiddle them while I'm not able to see them, though. I don't even remember what they do. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with this too much more. But please stick with me for the next 15-20 minutes through the rest of the stream. And next time I do this, I will try to check it. Yeah, that's right. One of them does that. One of them. Well, let's see what the volume switch does. Because if I am overdriving it, if it is clipping, I don't know if that made it better or worse. I just played with the knob. Maybe you can't hear me at all now. Who knows? My lips are moving. I must be talking. I don't know. Let me know if you're hearing anything at all now. If not, I'll play with it again. No change. Okay, then I'm not going to worry about it right now, and we'll futz with it another time, and hopefully make it better another time. Or I'll use a different microphone. Maybe I'll use the microphone that's built into my camera, or the one built in to my headset. Ironically, I have a true gaming headset, which I never use for gaming. I actually use that for work because I like having a boom mic in front of my face for work, for work meetings. And I actually really desperately wish more people would do that, because the audio quality in Zoom meetings is so hit or miss. But one thing that makes sure that you'll be heard pretty well is actually having a decent mic in front of your face. Not rocket science, people. It's not even rocket surgery. Anyway, we're back to getting some medium density zoning done here.
You're listening to Deluxe Relax with
Because
Alice.
we've actually got a huge demand.
Sarah.
Thank you, dear.
So, Alice, there's so many things I've been meaning to ask you.
We'll go right
Huge
ahead.
demand, despite the
Give me a
fact
notebook.
that
Then
we
let's
also
turn to the
still have demand for
wondered what it would be like.
jobs. We
You're
still
already
have industrial demand. We have unemployment is actually high,
Right now?
but for some reason our residential demand is
All part of the effect.
high and remaining
Tell
high.
you what, on the
And
count
I
of
think
three.
it's sort of one more thing the game still needs to rebalance
One,
at some point.
2,
But
Three.
it's so much more playable than it was that I have a hard time complaining
No,
too much
I
about it.
think I feel about the same.
Still hypnotized.
Oh no.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And I have no idea what just happened on the radio
Right,
channel that I'm
and
playing
we're getting
here.
reports about a traffic
I'm going to connect
incident,
these two grids up here.
somewhere in the city.
Road maintenance services have already been dispatched, and traffic flow should return to normal. But if you're planning a quick trip out, you might want to wait a little while until everything clears up.
If you're in it, you already know about it. No use reminding.
La 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 la.
To our main feature story. The steel district is booming, and the
Yeah, I
area
think I was just
high
talking
expenses,
quieter, and
bringing the
that may be
latest
part of it.
luxury
Is just
to
that I
our
started talking
neighborhood.
loud again
You
for
can
some
now
reason, and I'm
shop for
overdriving it.
designer shoes while sipping a fancy local
I sometimes
Java
forget that I
latte.
don't really need to
Or
talk
so
loud
I
with
might.
this mic. This mic will pick me
That's
up from
good
a
for
mile
business
away if I let
and
it.
good for the community.
Thanks, Jim. We'll be back after this.
Yeah, it's the popping is annoying, and I'm sorry about it. I'll, like I said, I'll try to. If it's happening next time, I'm going to do this. I'll do some checks ahead of time and see if it's still happening. I may have to do something about the mic. I really don't want to replace it though. It's been a good mic. Saw me through the pandemic. It's a weird thing to be loyal to it for, but it's true. Do some, see, let's actually put some office on some of these corners. Yes, we have some commercial demand too. Let's. We're about to have a lot more as these buildings fill in. Good thing it does not demolish things right away. You get a chance to correct mistakes when you're rezoning. That. See how those come in. Some of the commercial demand. Get us some more money. More money. Need more money. Give me cash. Oh wow. We do have a traffic. Oh god, we have a taxi problem like crazy. I don't know if there's any way for me to build a bus route out of the city when the connection's like all the way over here. The old game had intercity buses, and I don't know if the new game actually has that concept at all yet. We've got a whole bunch of people commuting in and out of the city by taxi. I may have to move the problem may be I may have to move the taxi depot or put a taxi stop, an explicit taxi stop in someplace like near a bus stop and actually build a more of an interconnected transit system, which I haven't even started doing yet. So, yeah. We're all just going to have to suffer with traffic for the time being. That's a hell of a queue of taxis, isn't it? That's like an airport taxi stand worth of taxis going all the way back. wonder if I change this to a roundabout, if that'll help or hurt. Because they're all going the same direction almost. Almost all going the same place. Oh, you know what? A lot of this is because people are moving in. I think a lot of this traffic jam is because people are moving in. But I still think I might try to put a roundabout in. Let's see what would that look like. Let's do a medium roundabout with larger. I want to make sure it's sized right for what we're doing here. The very large? I don't think I want that. Maybe I do want the very large for what we're doing here. Anything else looks too small. Can I change the snapping though? Look, I can. That's too low. This is just a funny intersection to start with as part of the problem. I wish it let you freeform draw the roundabout sizes. There's a mod in the old game that lets you do that, and the new game's built-in roundabouts don't. And it makes me a little wary of trying to solve my problems here with a roundabout. And yet, I'm not sure how else to do it, because we don't have a lot of traffic controls yet. Like, I'm pretty sure there's already stoplights here. So that's not my problem. What did I do? Where? I wonder if I said no left turn here. Maybe people go down a block to turn left. Yeah, I don't know why, but that sort of reset the logic. Also, I'm not sure we really need crosswalks here. Crosswalks feel weird here. Bet you that wasn't helping either. Should probably build them some pedestrian bridges, but crosswalks just felt weird. So, yes, answering your question is Skylines is better than Cities. Or Cities is better than SimCity. Cities Skylines 1 was infinitely better than SimCity 2013, which of course was a disaster and never stopped being a disaster. And then it actually got to the point by the time it was more or less end of life last year, where I think it was genuinely better than SimCity 4. Like, there was nothing from SimCity 4 I was missing, except maybe just a particular flavor of quirkiness that was Maxis. That was always Maxis. City Skylines 2 came out disastrously, almost as disastrously as 2013 did. SimCity 2013 did. But what you missed from the beginning of the stream, and the reason I decided I was willing to stream again today, is they released about 3 weeks ago, they released 2 patches in quick succession. One was big, one was small. The big patch was what they call Economy 2.0, and it basically made the complexities of the economy that they've introduced make more sense. Because as released, they had all this complex economy, but none of it, there was no obvious sense that if you did this, it made a difference, either good or bad. And nobody wanted that. Nobody actually wanted it to be that easy. It was actually too easy a game. You couldn't go bankrupt. You couldn't lose. And strangely enough, that's not what people wanted. And I don't think they fully appreciated that that's not what people wanted. People wanted the challenge. They want a little bit of realism. They want at least a little bit of a sense of they're evolving a city. They're growing a city. They're not just painting a city. And along that line, the other patch, the smaller patch, was a detailer's patch that actually added several features that had been missing, like it is now possible when planting trees. Early on, every tree planted was a baby. It was a sapling, and you had to wait for them to grow. And now you can plant trees of any given age, and in fact of all ages. You can plant basically a small grove that looks like it, some of them were just planted and some of them have been around for decades. But they also added a feature that's never been present in City Skylines, where you can, see if I can find it again. Here it is. You can pick a part of the surface area of a building like this one. We'll pick on this yard here. And you can actually change its contours, which means you can now make it look like this yard is bigger, or like you've got a couple of different similarly landscaped backyards. And then they also included some new surfaces that you can actually play with, so you can make the lawns all look a little different. They don't all have to look the same. You can't apparently change one, but if I were to draw a new one, I could pick from multiples. And those two changes coming in quick succession before they went on their summer holiday, which was their Finnish. The company is Finnish. So they're off now for like, I don't know, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. They were huge. They made a big difference, not just in the playability of the game and giving us some of what we wanted, but in giving us a sense that they actually cared. That unlike SimCity 2013, where they really gave up on it after getting all the bullshit well, it wasn't bullshit, from getting all the deserved shit from gamers for a game we'd been waiting for forever to be so poorly released. They went ahead and made it clear, no, they really care. They really want this game to be loved as the first game was. And they're going to do what it takes to fix it. And they've been doing that. And I'm really looking forward to what they do next when they come back from their holidays. They earned their holidays. Like, I'm sure there are some people who are like, how dare they go on vacation when the game still has so much work to be done. But I'm exactly the opposite. I'm like, you guys have worked the last 9 months to fix everything that was kind of broken. And maybe you shouldn't have left it broken in the first place, but the point is you've been working to fix it. Take a break and come back fresh, please.
A driving advisory
issued for the very much, please do that. And they're doing it. And so from that standpoint, I am pretty happy. And I think it's a great improvement now. Anyway, we are coming up. It's just turned 7 o'clock. I think I need to go find myself a food. I want to thank those of you who joined me for this little foray back into streaming. I will be doing this again now that the game is playable. It will probably be a couple of weeks because I am out of town next week. And of course, I'm also doing a lot of ham radio lately. And honestly, one of the reasons I decided to stream today is it's hot outside. And I can't really stream from in the house, or can't really play radio in the house right now. Although I can play radio at home again. Yeah, I expect more. That's the one I wanted to do. There we go. Expect more soon now that the game is playable. And when Dragon Age comes out, unless it sucks, I will be probably streaming some Dragon Age 4 as well. Because some of you may remember I did some streaming of Dragon Age Inquisition during the pandemic. Even though that game was ancient, it was just such a good game. And it was a great thing to replay during the pandemic. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a lovely evening. It was great to see you all. Take care.